Here's my prediction. If we keep doing the same things that we're doing right now, myofunctional therapy and the business of such will be nothing more than a niche footnote 10 to 20 years from now. Mark my words. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Now, I know that many of you are like, where is this coming from? But honestly, I've made so many observations that now I can officially say that the way myofunctional therapy is practiced and marketed right now is not sustainable. So let's talk about it and how we can fix it and really get to clarity that brings us from a low level service to something of excellence. Because that's all we about here, okay? I don't do nothing but excellence. Welcome. If it is your first time here, I'm Carice Laguerre. I'm your Myo best friend. I have hours upon hours upon hours, 100 hours of content, of lectures, of high quality stuff, not the fluff that they get so that you can, join some other course or do some other thing. Real high quality education here on YouTube. That's why I call myself your bio best friend. I practice myofunctional therapy exclusively, and I am really passionate about this field. And it makes me sad that we are where we are and we're going where we're going. And so keep this going, keep like excellence in education going, keep this alive because this is one of the solutions to a very, very, very real problem. If you're not already subscribed or you're watching on YouTube, please do. If you are watching on LinkedIn, hi, hello, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe, connect, like, share, comment. It all helps us to grow. I don't know if y'all noticed. Okay. One, I'm a little emotional. But two, there's not much growth in myofunctional therapy. Like where it was when I started is where it is now. People like the illusion that things are getting better, but promise I will illuminate you to even more. This makes me so passionate because there are things that are so much more illegitimate. Granted, myofunctional therapy is a pseudoscience, okay? If you didn't know that, then you definitely still need to be watching because you have much to learn. But it's not remotely the most impactful work I do in my myofunctional therapy practice. All of the other things that couple well with it, those are the things that really make the impact. And so to see myofunctional therapy being squashed under some things that really, really don't have the same level of physiological like education or work behind it and aren't being done by people who are highly educated licensed professionals as we are, it gets me so worked up. And I'm hoping I won't be too raw with you today, but if I am, please forgive me. Okay, so if you're not already, sit down because we have a problem. We have something we need to talk about, that we need to address. There is a gigantic elephant in the room. And that elephant is the fact that the business of Myo has been super stagnant. There is a lack of creativity. There's a lack of educational standards that are elevated and that are expansive. Okay. There's a lack of personal identity. I think all of these things are really going to lead us into a spot where, right now, currently, if you take a look at it, we're like a domino. It's a domino effect. It's creating one after another of problems where you can't tell one myofunctional therapist from another. And I'll tell you right now that I am not any other myofunctional therapist. Any other myofunctional therapist is not me. And the fact that we're so easily confused, despite the fact that I practice at a different level than anybody else, I still have yet to meet somebody who practices at the level that I do. But when I say the level that I do, I go between two states every single month. So I want you to just take that into your accounting and your bookkeeping, okay? New Jersey and Florida. I fly back and forth, see people in person in both states, just me, solo practitioner. I'll never add somebody to my practice ever again because that was a disaster that need not be repeated. But I think I haven't met anybody who's doing the work on the level where I'm doing it. And I don't want myself to be confused with anybody else. And I don't want anybody else's hard work to be confused with anyone else's. So let's start picking up the pieces and stopping the dominoes from falling. Let's start working together on some of these problems. Okay, I've got 4 problems that we're highlighting today. The very first one is that awareness isn't growing. Everybody, I've been hearing so much talk. Everybody's saying it, that there is awareness and there's so many more people who are doing myofunctional therapy, so many more people who are like, oh, I've never heard of it before and now I am. And people are like, oh, there's so much more awareness. Like there's people who are coming out of the woodworks and finding a myofunctional therapist. These are lies. That has always existed. That has always existed. You are noticing it now because you're practicing more, or because you're just a little bit more active, or because you finally implemented systems that will automate a lot of your business where you should have had that already, but that's okay. How do I know awareness isn't growing? We can check it. We can check it. It is not just conceptually how you feel about it. There are things you can check. Google has a multitude of tools. If you're just typing it into AI, I'll tell you that AI is not what you think it is. We do not have artificial general intelligence as of yet. We have learning language models that will put together words, but it's not true intelligence. So when you're asking, look for databases where you can really go through all of what the search terms are, what's the biggest search engine, it's Google, what the search terms are, what the volume is, what the capacity is, okay? When we take a look at Google Trends, and I think it's really important to take a look at Google Trends, and let me see if this button is going to work for me. When we take a look at Google Trends and we look at myofunctional therapy versus orofacial myology, why is it not moving? This is a whole video. Oh, I think I have to actually press play. There we go. When we take a look at it, we look at the past year, started with 60, it's at 59, or started with 50, I'm sorry, it's at 59. Some minor peaks and mini valleys, but generally the same. Even worse is orofacial myology, which I continue to tell people is not a thing, but people continue to tell me that it's like leading something in the industry, which it can't even get its terminology to be bumped up. I don't understand how it's leading anything. But orofacial myology, myofunctional therapy have been stagnant in searches and search volume. If people are finding you, it's the same people who would have found you a year ago, 2 years ago. Like go back through the data, trends.google.com. Now, let's look at real growth. Sound bath. A sound bath, you might be saying, well, where have I heard that before? Or what is that? Don't worry, we'll get into it in just a second. Look at the volume and the method of growth. It is an actual growth pattern, and it's significantly higher than myofunctional therapy. Sound baths, while they do have some of their own research and inquiries and so forth, it's not at the level of myofunctional therapy. They are on a downward trend that still exceeds our stagnation. It's wild. So if you're thinking to yourself, ooh, man, where have I heard that before? This sound bath thing. Hold on, I'm getting to it. Let me get back to my slide. There we go. You may know it from some of your favorite celebrities, or some favorite celebrities that other people have that you don't really like. Kendall Jenner, the Real Housewives have had it. The Beverly Hills have had sound baths. A number of them have actually have sound baths. I remember seeing it on Potomac. I'm a Bravo girly. Shout out to my Bravo girlies. Drop it in the comment. I'm still looking for friends to go to BravoCon with. So like, shout out to y'all. Jake Paul has his own personal breath work practitioner and sound therapist that does sound baths. But I've never met somebody that needs myofunctional therapy more than some of these celebrities that are pictured here. Oprah and Gail have done sound baths. We don't have that for myofunctional therapy. Up, 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 up. Somebody's about to say, oh my gosh, but what about the Kardashians? The Kardashians who have so far distanced themselves from myofunctional therapy. What a ball to drop, and how pitiful it is that that's the only thing we can come up with. And then we want to like put it on a pedestal when they've very much distanced themselves. In 2021, there was an article on Poosh, which is Kourtney Kardashian's brand, but she's on Lemmy now. So like Poosh still has some updates, but when you're talking about the Kardashians, at least as far as Hulu and any sort of promotional presence that they have, Lemmy is the thing. She's all into supplements and whatever. And she hasn't said not one lick of a word about myofunctional therapy since 2021. Kim Kardashian has taken down content and had pictures removed and images removed that had to do with her kids doing myofunctional therapy. And we all have seen Saint's tongue. Saint absolutely was tongue tied. But let's take a look at what happens immediately after a Kardashian mentions tongue therapy, okay? Because that's how it's put out. And it's put out to being similar to physical therapy. You know how I feel about that. It is wholly inaccurate. The Breathe Institute, very highly regarded, worked with them and put out a promotional like yay on social media. And because we're also celebratory of the absolute basic of accomplishments, we're all like, yay, oh my gosh, a Kardashian's talking about it back in 2021, okay? The picture that is up is Kourtney in a bikini or in some lingerie. I don't know which one it is, but either way, it's inappropriate. It has nothing to do with myofunctional therapy, okay? She had a better picture up there, changed it, absolutely changed it. It is not the flex you think it is because it hasn't been featured on an episode of the show like sound baths and like face yoga. Face yoga blew up. I don't know if you know face yoga, but if you've never heard of face yoga, it's like myofunctional therapy, wholly aesthetic. Wholly aesthetic. And a lot of it is very well received because it's just focused on aesthetics, which is why I keep telling people nobody cares about tongue posture. Okay. Go to trends.google.com and search up face yoga and see how many more people care about the outcomes that they can get aesthetically from face yoga, which by the way, you can do the same thing with myofunctional therapy. I have a whole course on it, but you can do the same exact thing with actual, clinically eminence based things behind you. When we're talking about 2021 and the Kardashians and how far they've distanced themselves from this thing that we have as like our only holy grail of celebrity endorsement, not long after Kourtney Kardashian and Kim Kardashian came out with the whole thing, then we had Undark have a PhD. I'm sorry, have a PhD doctor put out that this dubious therapy is short on evidence. Now, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And guess what? They talked to Zagi and they talked to Sarah Hornsby of Myo Mentor, and they were very disappointing as far as being representations for what we would want to be published in something like this. Now, can we say that, oh, yes, maybe their words got taken out of context? Sure. Absolutely, we could say their words got taken out of context. But I've been preaching for years that it's never been evidence based, and there was no real assertion to that in here. We just do more of it's like physical therapy, which it's not. Physical therapy is an evidence based practice. Okay, so let's take a look. In addition to the lack of evidence, both the tongue therapies and surgeries, tongue tie releases, don't have strong professional standards. And this is a very striking, very stark article about how a woman went to a dentist. The dentist referred her to myofunctional therapy. She did a release. She did myofunctional therapy. She got that burning sensation under her tongue. She felt very tied down. She had a terrible experience. They then send her to an oral surgeon. Oral surgeon does another revision because the first thing wasn't done well. And the myofunctional therapist, I guess, didn't catch it because y'all be doing these fly by night courses without any sort of regard, just asking whoever online, like, what course should I take? You then sign up, spend thousands of dollars to do it. No, absolutely nothing. Register and get a domain, put up a website, and then start working with people. And that's how we get articles like this. Okay. Just putting that out there. But the end of her story is that, it did not end well. She still is seeing therapists. She's seeing occupational therapists. She's doing manual therapy. She still has lingering pain and numbness. Terrible, terrible outcome. She says she would never do this. She's so glad she didn't start with her child first, that she did it with herself first. I think that she had very, very terrible guidance, and this was damning to the point where everything changed from the Kardashian side of things. That's when things started disappearing from their websites. And I remember that point in time. I remember everybody called it as a win. And then when I saw things disappear and I saw pictures change and I saw links change and I saw things kind of fade out from the Kardashian end, I knew it was this. I knew it was Undark. And I knew that it had everything to do with the fact that the standards for myofunctional therapy are unnecessary. But when Zaki said that, I'm like, this has got to be crazy. This has got to be crazy. This is madness. Myofunctional therapy shouldn't be based on one person's protocols, which I agree, there should be a standardization, right? He compared it, however, to an exercise regimen, pointing out that there are benefits whether someone does yoga, Pilates, weightlifting, or running. Other experts who know that that sounds ridiculous coming from a physician disagrees. If an exercise is used for medical treatment, that's the difference. You go, you do yoga, even if you're doing face yoga, you know what you're doing it for. You're not considering it a medical anything. You're doing it because you are trying to better yourself in an alternative way, right? But if you're going to say that myofunctional therapy is one, evidence based, or two, able to cure sleep apnea and help people get rid of this, that, and that, then it needs to be researched and shown that it's effective. Point blank, period. And this was the dagger in us having public awareness or any sort of actual growth, because nobody would combat this. And that's a bigger problem that the field has, is that we, for whatever reason, just absolutely positively hate any sort of diversion of thought. We hate anybody who might have a, difference of opinion. We don't put them on platforms. In fact, we actually will then link and reference back to Colgate. Oh, Colgate supports this. Yeah, Colgate considers myofunctional therapy, physical therapy exercises that improve the bite. Ooh, I love that. How we cross right into dentistry and orthodontics. We're looking to improve bites. We're really not looking to do anything more than establish proper oral resting posture, and everything else is a happy accident. And people who are describing it other ways, it's a problem. It's a big, big problem. We have shot ourselves in the foot, for lack of a better term, when it comes to the ability to promote myofunctional therapy, because it all seems general, it all seems the same, it all seems to lack any sort of individuality, any sort of identity. And people think that you can trade one myofunctional therapist for another, which you can't. And it's really important that as a therapist, you understand not only that it's stagnant, don't worry, we're coming up with solutions at the end, I promise. But as we get into this second aspect of things, that if you lack identity, if your words are not your own, if your positioning is not your own, if you are taking and borrowing from others, or just using whatever generates from AI to populate your website or to create or develop your website, you are likely taking from others to create an identity that is not your own. And this is the biggest problem, is that you wind up copying people unintentionally and starting problems that you didn't intend to solve, that you didn't intend to start, I'm sorry, because nobody's teaching better business ethics and morals. Okay. Nobody's teaching how you should conduct yourself when you're doing business and when you're going about the fact that you are trying to establish yourself as a provider. This is my friend Vita's website. I love Vita, very obsessed with Vita. From the moment we knew each other back when I was still doing clinical hygiene and back when I still lived in New Jersey full time. But Vita has very well branded herself Myo La Vida and branded her business Myo La Vida. And she has taken the steps to get a trademark, not only the US trademark from the US Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO, but also did the Madrid system so that she could also patent herself, or not patent, I'm sorry, trademark herself in over 100 other countries. Okay, including Canada. So Myo Vita is Vita. When I think of Myo Vita, I think of Vita. Vita found another myofunctional therapist functioning as Myo Vita in Canada. However, because she did the Madrid system, it's Myo Vita that is violating her Myo La Vida Madrid system patent, which covers Canada as well. My thing with this is, was there no research done in advance? I remember sitting down and really researching, looking through, how come nobody has the MyoSpot? Like, why is the MyoSpot domain open? Let me look up some other stuff. I saw that there were MyoSpots, but I'm like, this is totally different, which is another thing with trademarks, and we're getting to that in just a second. MyoSpots are totally different. It's a product, right? I'm trying to make and create a brand that is a practice and a source of education. So the MyoSpot would be very different from MyoSpots. And even if, and I looked up trademarks because you can look that up in the US trademark system, you can also take a look through some of the international trademark search engines. So you can look up trademarks in Canada. You can look up trademarks in a lot of other countries. I will tell you that if you just do the research, you'll find that you can piece together little bits of things that will tell you whether or not you're making a good decision to register a particular business name, a particular domain. There's so many people who have everybody else's name, but it makes it too confusing. We're already niche as it is. Perhaps it would behoove you to find something that can distinguish you as a provider on any level. Okay. I'll tell you that for me, I'll always say that nobody else will ever be the MyoSpot, even if there are other MyoSpots. And there is another MyoSpot. There is the MyoSpot in Canada. And shout out to Kaylin, who I love. I found out there was another MyoSpot in Canada. And I got an email. When I got an email, that wasn't meant for me, it was meant for her. And there's a little bit of overlap, and I'm not bothered by it because I really love Kaylin. I think she is absolutely great. I think she's gone out of her way to like learn how to be an exceptional therapist who like really exceeds all levels of excellence. I think she's fabulous. And so, I don't care that there's another Myo spot in Canada. If there's going to be another Myo spot, be great. Okay. Be absolutely fabulous and great girl. But for me, nobody's ever going to be the Myo spot, because when people think of the Myo spot, you're really thinking of the giraffe. And lots of people have even approached me on that. So when you're trying to come up with something cutesy or flirty or fun or whatever, my giraffe was a total accident, by the way. But it's something that's distinguished me. You can even see my giraffes behind me here. But it's something that distinguished me to the point where people come up to me at conferences and at events and will say, "You're the giraffe?" Yes, I am the Myo spot. I am the Myo spot. Yes. Why don't you have something that distinguishes you so that you can be differentiated on some other level? So that when I'm thinking Myo la vita, I will only think vita when I am thinking, uh, who else? I can't think of anybody else right now because I think a lot of things just sort of blend into each other. There's such a lack of identity that I feel like it's so hard to distinguish who's who. A lot of your things just look the same. But I also think of myself, like myself with the Mayo spot. So when we're looking at, another person's website and we find mine picture on there, I'm really confused because I'm like, this is not my practice. I don't have any vested interest in this practice. And then I saw my picture on the Instagram and on different flyers and things. And I'm like, this is very interesting. Like, why is my picture all over this person's practice when this is not something that I'm personally affiliated with? And then some of the terms and the fact that the words physical therapy were used in there is problematic. But it then associates or comes back to me because it looks like I'm a part of this, right? Is the lack of individuality that strong that we could find whatever pictures we find online instead of looking for stock images and just impersonate other people? So reach out and I'll tell you, this makes me so mad, but reach out and yes, this is somebody who, I can connect with and say, hey, I have some stock photos if you would like, just replace it with a stock photo. I didn't say, or a picture of yourself. I didn't say AI yourself over my picture. But guess what I got? That was the response. I don't understand. It's still copying something that is not you. If you want to be original, we lack so much individuality. There's so many people I can't tell apart from each other because all the websites look the same. All the wording looks the same. You're all talking about the same thing. There's no individuality, no identity, nobody that's really coming up with something that has crossed a boundary and a threshold to where I'm like, this is wholly unique. And that's a big problem for us as a field. People can't tell us apart. People think that what you do is the same as what somebody else does. And you might know that the other person in the area, in the neighborhood, is not that good or just got out of a course and hasn't been practicing for the years that you've been practicing, hasn't had the depth of knowledge, hasn't invested the time, the money, the energy that you have, and yet will still be viewed by the public in the same way because it's so easy to copy and to eat off of each other. That, I think, is a big, big problem. That, I think, will shut us down in the long run. Because if somebody has one negative experience with myofunctional therapy, they will assume we are all the same because you can't quite really tell the difference. Can you? No. Education is entirely stagnant too, where there's nothing that we are getting that is helping to grow in a meaningful way anyone's business. Everybody is out to make a buck. And the more I hear about new airway conferences or new courses or new products or new self-study things, I hear all of the talk about these things. And none of it is helping any of you guys, one, brand yourselves any different. So that's number one. But two, make any more money. Is somebody going to pay you more because you've gone to the newest conference and heard the same people speak who speak at every conference? Like, you're not even getting anything new, unique, original. You're like, oh, such and such is presenting their new research. Read the research. Like, save yourself the flight, the hotel, the car rental, or the Ubers, the Lyfts. Oh, but I could write it off. Okay, but what are you coming back home with? Just some swag from a conference? Like, you're not coming home with anything of any real value. Like, really, though, deeply in your soul as a business person, does it make sense to go to any airway conference? What are you really getting out of this conference? Are you getting any sort of monetary win? I really can't pinpoint a way that I went to a conference and didn't expense more than I was able to bring back. Yes, you might learn something more, but can you now increase your price 50% to adjust for this new information? No. At best, maybe 1 to 3%. And what is that in the long run? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can you account for the time that you spent away from the business? So the clients you didn't see, the money you lost, your time, your energy, like all of that, or the time away from home when you weren't with your family? Why are we in this stagnation where we're having a multitude of airway events, a multitude where dozens upon dozens, the the speakers in this field keep promoting these events? This is a great thing. Go to that. We're setting each other up for failure. You're telling them to spend their money to help make you money, by the way, because that's all that's happening, is that they're telling you to expend your money so that they can make some money, to go to this conference where you won't get any ROI. You'll get to maybe meet them. Is that impressive? Like, I sincerely hope that everybody I've ever met in real life is woefully disappointed by meeting me and realizing that I'm like totally a normal person. I'm such a regular, normal, goofy, socially awkward person. Like, I am not anybody who you need to be flying to go meet somewhere unless you're trying to do mentorship. Then happily fly out to West Palm Beach. Let's hang out and I will answer any questions that you have. But outside of that, there is no reason to go flying to some conference to go meet me. There's no reason to go flying to some conference to go meet anybody else. They're not special. They're not special. And I'm disappointed every time I meet somebody new. I just met somebody new at Myosphere and I couldn't be more disappointed by the reality of that person. It's just, no, no. There's more in depth about what you can do or what my real recommendations are instead of doing airway conferences. If you need to do conferences for CE, absolutely, there's lots of great recommendations that I have in this video. I will link it at the end for the recording, but just go back to that video, why I won't attend airway conferences. It will enlighten you as to what you should do instead. But we are setting each other up for failure and then clapping about it, making it seem like this grand celebration of mediocrity, going to hear the same people speak, going to do the same things, going to get the same surface level education is a benefit. And it's not. It's not. It's creating weaker business people who do not have the ability to achieve longevity. Do we know that 70% of small businesses fail within the first 3 years? People rush into myofunctional therapy thinking that it's the answer to solve all of their problems. They hate hygiene. They're trying to help more people. They're trying to fix their kids. They're trying to whatever. They spend money, 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 and they wind up so deep in the red that they have to shut down their business, go back to hygiene, or just be like, this isn't for me, it's too hard. Don't be like that. Stop attending all these education things that you think are helping you and like really do the information that I said here in this particular lecture. Yes, I'm giving you homework because it's the least you can do is some more work to like figure out what it is you're supposed to be doing. But like, learn business stuff. There's nothing I love more than learning. I legitimately will learn just for the sake of myself and so that I can be better at business, so that I can be better in life, so that I can communicate better, so that I can whatever, like get it right, guys, get it right. The culture of hiding is also a thing that is creating a problem in this field. If I hear one more time, oh my God, and all the stuff that happened in New York, nothing happened in New York that I haven't been saying for years and that everybody should have known for years. Myofunctional therapy is not in the scope of practice of dental hygiene. I have yet to see it written, like written. Legislation is public. So you could tell me everything you want to tell me, but I'm telling you, legislation is public. I haven't seen it written in the Speech and Audiology Practice Act. Haven't seen it at all. Okay. If ever I talk about scope of practice, it'll probably be in a separate video. But I did this video like a year or maybe two ago, State of the Field, and I said I'd never want to talk about it again. So I won't talk about it again. You can watch that one if you really want to hear more about like why you shouldn't be hiding, why hygienists should not be hiding and thinking that they need to secretly do myofunctional therapy, otherwise they're going to lose their license. How do I know? I work with a lawyer. I work with a lawyer very intimately, like my business partner in one of the avenues of things that I work on. Now, I have my hands in a lot of pots. You know why? Because people realize I'm a rational person. And so people like partnering with me to do things. So I have a lot of business ventures and I have a lot of things that I do and a lot of ways that I practice. But one of the things that I do is an aspect of my consulting is a collaborative business with a lawyer who has set up another lawyer as our chief legal officer of the business. We have a chief financial officer. We have a whole spectrum of a board for a business of consulting for Myo because it's so scary to practice it in dentistry. But when you really sit down and talk to a lawyer, they will give you no BS, no BS about where the law stands and the lack of legislation, regulation that exists, how you can practice safely, how the law really will enable you to be able to do this, especially within a dental practice, because that's the only way that we do our business, our business entity. I'm not going to mention the name of it right now. You can ask me later if you're really, really interested. But that's the only way I do my consulting is in a dental practice. How do you build it into a dental practice? And it has to be with that chief legal team so that we can create the business in a way that is protective of everybody's license, of everybody's business, because you grow these things and you want them to be valued. So when I tell you that whatever you think is going to happen with whatever organization you like is going to protect you, it's not. It's not. They will not wholeheartedly protect you because anything that you do could be a liability to their organization and their structure. So they can give you a certification. That certification, that paper means nothing in the face of the law, and they will not stand behind you on that paper other than to say that you've earned it. But if you go about doing stuff and saying stuff that's really out of left field, because you have a certification and a membership isn't going to save you. What will save you is actually building a business that's protected legally. So call a lawyer. Stop hiding. If you really want to practice this and you are passionate about it, you can't be hidden. That's not how business happens. You can't grow and scale a business by hiding that you're practicing. So it's really, really important that we stop with the nonsense and spreading misinformation amongst ourselves in dentistry. The SLPs don't like us, and the SLPs this, that, and the other. I don't care who they like. I don't care. They don't have to like me. Guess what? I don't stop existing. I don't need their platforms. I don't care where I'm blacklisted from because I'm practicing at a level of exception, a level of excellence, I'm sorry, that makes them feel unworthy. And that's all that energy is that me and mine, the people I associate myself with, are practicing at levels of excellence they can't meet and therefore they feel inadequate. But that is no legal standing upon which you can take down my business or shut my mouth. It's never going to stop. I will continue. I will continue. Okay. I feel a way about this. I feel a way about this because I am the nicest, the sweetest, the kindest person you can ever meet. At Myosphere, I don't know how much stuff I gave away, but I just give stuff freely. if you're in my circle, if you're in my network, if you're just eager to learn and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, I just need a little bit of help, awesome. Here's what I can give you. I have such and such resource, support, YouTube videos. Here's a course. Like, I will give and I will give and I will give because I genuinely believe that it all comes back. I believe in karma, it all comes back. But never mistake that kindness for a weakness. And if you meet me and I am super calm and I am like in my Zen zone, okay, don't expect that I'm going to be ignorant about the situation. I'm always assessing my situation. And I understand exactly what this business of myofunctional therapy is, the amount of nonsense that goes on in it, the grand celebration of mediocrity that it winds up being because nobody is ever trying to push people to be better. We're trying to squish down as many people as possible into the smallest of boxes so that we can all call ourselves myofunctional therapists and hopefully sell more courses. And that's not my vibe. I don't vibe with people like that. And so when you don't see me in certain rooms, this is why. I am anti-establishment in this way, but not overall. I really like a good establishment. I think it's good. But just don't mistake any of that. And I just have to put that out there because when I go to events like Myosphere, which was exceptional, by the way, and I will be there next year, when I go to events like that and I meet new people and, they want to give me a certain type of energy, I promise you're not getting what you should be getting back because I am a kind person, okay? I'm just not weak. So what can we do to really like balance the scales? How can we fix what is going so desperately wrong in our field? I think it's really important that if we want to stop the stagnation of the growth of the industry, that we are pooling together our resources. That doesn't have to be money. Money's probably the best way, but it doesn't have to be money. When there was, and I wish I had a better example. I'm so sorry. But when there was like the Black Lives Matter movement and everybody posted a black square, that was a collective effort on a particular day to do a thing, right? Why can't we have a collective effort to have a hashtag that will then be trending because all of us do it at the same time, post the same thing? Like you can pull together resources or ideas towards marketing and things that are going to push us up so that we can get conversations started on a public awareness level that really do grow the field in a positive way, that get more searches, that get more clicks, that get more likes, that get more business for everybody, instead of operating out of a silo that is just you as a practitioner posting whatever you want whenever you feel like it and hoping and praying that everything will work out. That's just not the reality of business. Most of you will fail. 70% of businesses don't make it past year 3. That should be alarming. That for everybody who's out there touting and toting that you should be doing this course, that course, or going to this conference or that one, most of them won't be in business in a year or two. That's a problem. Okay. Identity can be solved by knowing who you are. I know who I am. I know why I practice. I know the passion behind it. And that's the energy I give off to people. I've never met a person who was like, I have no idea how you feel about Maya. Like, it seems like you're kind of indifferent to this whole thing. Never. Everybody I've ever spoken to, especially on consultations, was like, I can feel your passion for this. Like, I can tell you're passionate about this. Tell me your story. Or I'm always telling actually people just voluntarily the stories of my kids and like how I think this thing relates to this thing and why. And that myofunctional therapy isn't evidence based, but here's what I've got for you. I've got clinical, stories and cases that I can share that I say, all right, this is me. This is all of who I am. I am Carice. There is not going to be another Carice. No one, no matter how many pictures of me you put, no matter how much of my content you put on your website, because a lot of you have my content, no matter how much of that you do, you'll never be me. No one will ever exceed being me more than I can. Okay. And I can never be you. I want you to shine for you. So find your differentiator, something that makes you stand out, and put that at the forefront. Okay. If you've got like your own myofunctional disorders and you feel uncomfortable about it, I would actually put that in the forefront. I'd be like, hey, actually, here, let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about one of my biggest insecurities is my weight. I've never been this big in my whole entire life. I am like gigantic in the grand scheme of my life. Okay. I love the content with the creators who are mid-size, who come on screen in just a bra and underwear to show off different outfits because they're getting incredibly raw and vulnerable, right? And so I will follow that, or I will watch that through because I'm like, wow, they're really owning this is their body. The body that I feel uncomfortable in is the body that they're confident in. How can I get to that, right? So if you have a myofunctional disorder, let's say you smile and your smile is narrow, or you whatever. There's so many people who share their journeys who have had like Marpies, and who have had different appliances, and who have worked with different people and done different things. Yes. But if you have something that makes you deeply uncomfortable, it might actually be your biggest win to share that, because there's other people who it makes deeply uncomfortable who might want to work with you because they identify that with you. That might be something that makes you shine. Hey, aren't you the girl with the asymmetric smile that like I see online? You're like, you're crushing it online. I think that's so great. Yada yada. Like, you can have those conversations. So I think it's important that you're really, really owning what makes you you. You'll never be me. I'll never be you. Be you and shine. Okay. Then we need to stop leaning into airway and health, and airway and myo education. And we need to just start investing into what's going to make your business get to the next level. Do you need to learn better marketing skills? Should you be taking a social media course? There's so many free courses online. There's so much free education online. There are so many podcasts that you could be listening to that will help you with your finances, that will help you with your marketing, that will help you with your branding, that will help you with your messaging, that can help you with your website, that can help you take better pictures, that can help you so many things for free. You don't have to invest in doing everything airway because nobody's going to pay you more for that. But if your brand looks exceptional, people may just pay you more for that. If you've got hundreds of thousands of followers because you've learned how to really work that system, I might think you're more valuable than the therapist who has 130. You might be that girl that I need to work with. And I might pay you an extra $1,000 because I feel like you must know something. You've got clinical evidence behind you, right? I don't know. 4, stop hiding. Stop hiding. Get yourself a lawyer. Like, even if it's just to consult, to talk to one. And the IAH is launching their legal program soon. I've had so much stuff going on. I'm really trying. Really trying, y'all. Emotional basket case here. But don't hide. Get yourself a lawyer. You can talk to one if you're an IAH member and our legal plans are coming up soon and they're going to be deeply subsidized by the IAH. And so you'll be able to purchase one at an exceptional rate. So you can talk to a lawyer. You can do a free consultation and get it understood. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is how I can practice safely, and just know what your limits are so you don't have to feel like you need to hide. You don't need to hide. You need to, if anything, shine. Okay? Shine. With all my love, I say these things. Okay? There is a solution. I think if we continue on in the same way, we won't see myofunctional therapists. We won't see myofunctional therapy in a few years. Somebody would have rebranded it to something different, be it a new face yoga, a new breath work. The physiotherapist who has the $19 course, uh, I forget what his name is, whatever. He's a phonetics doctor. That's what he is. He's not a physiotherapist. He's a phonetic doctor who has the $19 course online that he calls myotherapy because he invented myotherapy, whatever. Like, There are people who are going to come along, usurp what we have, and are going to do it at a higher scale than we can. They're going to get private equity funding, and they're going to far exceed Mayo in exposure. Your businesses won't be what you think they are going to be. You won't be able to sustain long term. So please do yourself a favor and like really, really dive deep into yourself, into branding, into owning your knowledge, into understanding how business works and scope of practice so that you can be the future of this field. Okay. I love you all. I see your comments. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Kara. I love you guys. You guys are so wonderful and supportive. Thanks for watching all of the lives all of the time. Mwah, mwah, mwah. My Myo best friends, I will see you at the next one where I promise I will be more emotionally regulated. Bye, guys.